Okay. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for a conversation with the legendary music producer and songwriter, Kenny Gamble himself of the iconic duo Gamble and Huff. Kenny, Mr. Gamble, we've known each other for quite a while now. It's an absolute honor to sit down with you and share your story with everyone tuning in today. And of course, we're together on the last day of Black Music Month, an initiative you helped co-fund more than 40 years ago, co-found more than 40 years ago. Throughout the 1970s, Gamble and Huff's music articulated the theme of Black pride and addressed the political and social issues facing our communities at the time. Together, you and Leon Huff created over 40 number one songs with numerous gold and platinum records. The two of you also wrote over 3,500 songs for artists such as Patti LaBelle, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Billy Paul, the OJs, the Jacksons, and so many more with hits like Me and Mrs. Jones, Love Train, If You Don't Know Me Now, and many more. Over the past few decades, you've remained committed to serving your local communities in Philadelphia, helping to revitalize neglected properties with a $100 million plan to construct and renovate 400 homes, only just scratching the surface of a lot that you've been able to do and accomplish. Kenny, you truly have a remarkable background from creating one of the most successful Black-owned music companies in history to developing the timeless style known as Philadelphia soul, from which I'm a child of. I know that barely scratches the surface of all that you've accomplished over the years. I prepared a couple questions to ask, but want to just keep it more organic of just a general conversation. So I'll just turn it over to you, just for a self-check-in, and just see how you're doing and just, start to catch up so we can jump into it.
You turn it over to me, Ryan.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Just checking in with you, man. See how you doing, how your spirits are, how you're holding up in this current climate.
I was just sinking in all that you just said. It seemed like such a long time. Yeah, that part of this whole thing, Ryan. And Cleve, check out my something happened here. I don't see Ryan no more.
Oh, you're all right.
Oh, I'm cool. Oh, man. Say that again.
You're good.
Just keep talking. Okay. All right. New technology, it got me a little strange here. But listen, I am very happy to be here with you, and I see some familiar faces, and I see some new faces, and I'm very happy to be here on behalf of Philly International and all the artists and producers that work so hard, and that we had such a great team of people together that I always like to speak of us as a team. And that teamwork, it works when you have a team as strong as what we had at Philly International. And I'm just proud to be a part of it, and to have worked with such a great group of people that had a principle and a purpose. And I'm happy to be here with you, Ryan. And as soon as I get a moment, you tell your father I'm gonna go in that vault and I'm gonna find the records that he was on. He was one of the best tenors in the world. I mean, proof be it that he's been with the Temptations for all of these years, which was really good. Just on that point, I remember when Otis Williams, when he called me, and Eddie Kendricks was leaving, and he said, "Otis, do you know anybody?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Ron Tyson," and the other person that they wanted was Harry from the Future. So we had a lot of great artists, and they went on to be historical in many, many ways. So I'm really glad to be with you, and I'm proud of you, uh, uh, and I'm glad to be a part of what you're trying to do. Thank you very much for asking me.
Absolutely. So take us back to the beginning. To even get into songwriting, like where did everything start from? What was that like writing your first song? Like, just take us back to what you were thinking at the time.
Okay, I'm gonna go into my brain to see if I can pull all this stuff out. What I remember is that me and my brother Charles, my cousin Earl, and another guy's name was Jackie Hart, you know. And in fact, he became one of the members of the Tramps. Jackie Hart did, right? And and we used to sing like every week. You know, we would sing and had a little group and whatever. So I wrote a couple of songs for this little group. And the first song I wrote with them was called "A Tender Kiss," you know. And I said, man, I said, we're going to be like Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, because at that particular time, that was who our idols were. Frankie Lyman, the Teenagers, and whatever. And I think it goes on from there, where I really always had a desire to write songs. And maybe one day I'll even do that song, "A Tender Kiss," you know what I mean? Because it goes all the way back. And then, you know, if you follow the much of my writing, I met a guy named Herb Johnson, who was a local singer. He used to live across the street from my aunt in West Philadelphia, and Herb introduced me to the guitar. He helped me learn about 4 chords. That's all I needed was 4 chords, and those 4 chords you pretty much can write any song with it. So I was like, so Herb Johnson was a tremendous input to me, because he introduced me to a musical instrument, and that helped out a whole lot. Now, I never had any formal training or anything like that, but as my mind recalls this conversation, and Herb Johnson comes into play to show that you need a musical instrument if you're going to do anything. And then, you know, it's a lot of fill-in stuff on it. We'd be here for a long time if I had to go all of this. But I'll jump to a point in this conversation where you were talking about how I get so deep into the music, is because I wanted to sing at first, all right? But I knew I wasn't a real good singer. I said, you know, I get lost when you have to hit them notes, you know, them hard. I couldn't make them. I could do a little falsetto or something like that, but I figured a way out of it. I remember we had a band called the Romeos. I'm really jumping ahead now, but when we had the Romeos, that was really a surge, because you had Roland Chambers, you had Tom Bell, Carl Chambers, who was a drummer, and Roland's brother. We had Winnie Wolford and myself, and we used to play local clubs. And by playing those local clubs, what we would do is that, I mean, look at the people we had in that band. We had Tom Bell and Leon Huff in that band. And
wow.
So Kenny Gamble and the Romeos was a local attraction. You know, we were young guys, teenagers. There was there's a club owner, the person, her name was Loretta Adams, and we really packed that club for her, you know. And so she worked us. We had steady work at Loretta's hi-hat, and we had an opportunity to work together as a group, that band, and we would rearrange songs. We take the local new hits that people would do, and we would rearrange them for stage. And once we did that, you know, some of those songs became like our version of those songs.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, make a long story real short, you're talking about 50-something years, you know, my brain is moving like that, Brian. And it just goes to show that over these last 50-something years, that stages of development, you know, with Huff and myself and Tom Bell, you know, Tommy Bell was a great musician, you know. Leon Huff is a great musician. I'm basically a lyricist. I write lyrics, and Tom Bell, he's a great arranger. I remember when I met him through his sister Barbara. You know, I walked Barbara home one day from school. She was in my classroom, and Barbara, she used to help me with all of my homework and everything. Barbara, She helped me get through high school. And the day I walked her home and I heard somebody playing the piano was a funny day because I said, Barbara, I said, who's that playing the piano? And she said, that's my brother, Tommy. All right. So I never even met her brother.
Wow.
I went inside and here's Tommy in there playing on the piano. That same day, Ryan, Tom Bell and I, we wrote 4 songs.
Wow.
We still got those songs. No, if you see him, tell him, say, give me them 4 songs you got. but it was beautiful. And, you know, Tommy and I, we worked together we had our band together, the Romeos and everything. And then that led me to the day that I met Leon Huff. Mm-hmm. Because working with Leon Huff was an absolute pleasure. It was unbelievable because I met Huff at the Shubert Building. I had been through trying to be a singer. I had been through trying to do a whole lot of different things. And I used to carry my guitar with me every place I go, and I was trying to learn how to play the guitar. The thing of it was, it's the day I met Huff on the elevator at the Shubert Building, which is downtown Broad and Locust. And this was a blessed day because me and Huff, I had never seen Huff, and we were talking about the music industry. How can you get a record out? You know, how can we got songs and we love music, you know, and hey, listen, it just, you know, as the world would have it, you know, me and Huff started writing songs, and it pretty much was the same spirit that me and Tom Bell wrote 4 songs. Like, I went over to Huff's house in Camden. He was in Camden at the time, and we started writing songs instantly. So it was unbelievable, and that's got to be 50-something years ago because Huff and I we not only worked together writing songs, but we also built a business where we could also help other people, and where we had doors that were shut to us, we opened those doors up, and those doors opened up to people like McFadden and Whitehead. We opened it up to young people in the community that had so much talent, you know, that was, you know, the Billy Pauls of the world, and people came from all over the world to hear the sound of Philadelphia. So I'm gonna stop there, and then and we could. It can
That's
go
all crazy stories. So in LA and just in the music business today, we put a bunch of writers and producers together like all day, you know, 5 times a week, trying to find that chemistry. But you know, you had the chemistry like right there with Tom Bell and Leon, like so early on. What's it like when you know you found that connection with someone you're writing songs with that makes it flow so great and just easy? How, you know, you found that with Mr. Huff and Tom Bell and a couple of others. What's it like when you're in the room working with someone and you know you have that chemistry?
You can feel it. See, because to me, you know, my answer to that would be is that it's all in the songs. It's all in the songs because you have a lot of groups, but not as many that last a long time. But songs, it's just unbelievable. The lifespan of a song is unlimited, and we found that out early, that if you can come up with the right song, that it will touch people, no matter what language it's in, no matter where it is. And so we had a wonderful time working together, all of us writing songs. And it's the song that counts. That's it. And you don't have no control of it. You know, Huff and I, it just happened. It was, I don't know. I don't know how to say that you never know when a song is going to be a hit. Say, for example, like When Will I See You Again? All right. I remember when we did that album, I didn't think When Will I See You Again would be a hit. I used to tell the girls, I used to tell 3 Degrees, I used to tell a couple of people. Richard Barrett, their manager. I said, I don't think so. But then nobody knows everything, you know.
Hmm.
So you got to take that position first. That's it. Nobody knows everything. So you find a person that you trust and a person that you like, and they'll say, "Hey, listen, I really like that song. Well, let's go with your intuition right now. Let's see whether it's a hit or not." And and I'll tell you what shook me up was when will I see you again? It won the Tokyo Song Festival
Wow.
in Japan. And that taught me a lesson. You know what I mean? I said I better keep my mouth shut. You don't know what you're talking about because that was a big honor for them to win that, and that later became, and I think it probably still is. It was one of our biggest international hits. You know, and when I see the 3 Degrees today, you know, I always think of them because they were, in my estimation, they were a classy, exceptional group. Because see, their manager Richard Barrett, give you a little history on him. Richard Barrett was the guy who found Little Anthony and the Imperials. He found Frankie Lyman. Going back to when I was little, I wanted to be like Frankie Lyman. Everybody wanted to. And here we had the guy who created Frankie Lyman, Richard Barrett, who was a giant. And you know, you never even really hear about Richard Barrett today in the music industry. But the era of Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers and the Moonglows and all of these great, the Spaniels and all these great groups that were, that part of the industry is like a blur.
Hmm.
But they were, you hear a lot about the Mellow Kings and the Skyliners and but those groups were pretty much imitations of groups like the Moonglows, the Flamingos. There was all kinds of great acts that came up during that era and time, and that was the beginning of rhythm, blues, and rock and roll. You know? So
I remember you telling a story. I'm not sure if you told it directly to me or it was somewhere where you were speaking. You said when y'all formed Philly International, you had, I think it was Me and Mrs. Jones and about 2 other records, and you played them for Clive Davis, and he didn't hear it. And then y'all put it out yourself, and it went on to be like huge hits, and he called you back and was like, "Hey, put out any records you want."
the Clive Davis, hey, he believed in us, man, and I thought it was a good thing to have somebody of his character to believe in us, and it was a great thing because Clive Davis, I mean, look, he gave us autonomy, you know, when we started Philly National, and you know the best advice he gave to me, when I still go by this, is that he said, now that you got your own label, Kenny, you know, so you and Leon, say be careful the artists that you sign, you know, because that's important that you find people that are unique within themselves. Because Billy Paul, and in fact, today when I look at some of his videos and stuff, I mean, Billy was so unique. His voice was so unique, and you know, I'm really proud of all the people that we had working with us, you know, and it wasn't easy for us. It wasn't easy and it's not easy for anybody, you know what I mean, to make it in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to be able to pick
Mm-hmm.
the right soul, one that's got something that's unique that the world is going to love, you know. And Me and Mrs. Jones, boy, that fooled a lot of people though, that song, you know. But Huck and I, we love that song, and it came to a time when a lot of people didn't hear that song in the beginning because it was a little bit of jazz, a little bit, you know. It was a song of its own, you know. So
I thought you said it had about 3 different titles, right? It was Me and Mrs. Somebody Else about 3 or 4 times, right?
Mrs. Smith or something like that, you know what I mean? I think that's more like a joke. But to me, it always was me and Mrs. Jones, because the way I looked at it was, one day we picked up the book that used to have all telephone numbers in it.
Yep.
And when you look at that book and you go to Jones, it was more pages in people's name was Jones than any other name in the Jones and Johnson was. So that's how I used to look at it. That Jones was such a name that so many people, maybe a third of the people in that book, had that name Jones.
That's interesting. During that time, you got Philly International, Motown, all of this great music happening at the same time. In my opinion, the two greatest catalogs of music. Just trying to dig under the hood a little bit. Was there some competitiveness there, or were you just, were y'all doing your own thing, or was it like, hey, they just had one, we gotta have one? How was the environment then?
Well, Motown was the inspiration. I mean, I tell you, that's all we used to do is listen to Motown records, because they were so great. And we went to Motown. Huff and I, we flew up to Motown. A friend of ours was working there, and he introduced us to Eddie Holland and Brian Holland and Lamont Dozier. It was nice. I mean, it was raining that day. It was pouring down raining that day, and it was a line of people outside of the Motown studios. And boy, we were standing out there. Then they came and got us. They took us inside. It was a small little building, but that studio was small. But that studio that they had was almost the same size as the studio we had at Philly International. I was just a little bit bigger, not much bigger. But when we went through there and we talked to the guy's name now, he was the head of the songwriters and the producers. Mr. Gordy wasn't there that day. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted to meet. I wanted to meet Berry Gordy, but we didn't get an opportunity to meet him. And when we were going back, they made us an offer to be one of their staff writers, producers. And when Huff and I were coming back, I said, man, listen, we'd have to live up in Detroit or whatever, And so we made a decision that, look, we'll stay in Philly and we'll do the same thing that they're doing. Because what we did is took the Motown model and used it for Philadelphia. And that model is, and still works, when you put a bunch of creative people together and they all have one purpose, and some write lyrics, and some play the piano, and some play guitars, and some play the bass, or whatever. They can congregate and work together. Then you're likely to come up with some bands. Some groups, and some people can sing, and some people can't sing. And you're able to have like a nest where creative people say, if I'm trying to make it in the music industry, this is where I should go. Even if it was like me, I used to hang around all the time. I used to be downstairs. One of our publishing companies is called Downstairs Music. And we call it Downstairs Music because that's where I used to be every day, sitting downstairs. Come in, and people used to say to me, oh, man, you here again? I said, yeah. I said, I'm waiting for Jerry Ross. I'm waiting for Jerry Ross to come in. And eventually, if it's meant to be, it will happen for you. But you got to make it happen. You got to make it happen, by being humble, by being respectful, and understand that the business that you're dealing with is probably the greatest communication thing in the world is a song. And so, yeah, that's something, man. You're making me dig deep into my brain, man.
Motown thing. How was that when y'all got the call to do the Jacksons and work on that album? Like, how was that in the midst of everything y'all had going on at the time to get that call? And what was that process like?
Oh man, I tell you. Well, first of all, we wanted to sign the Jacksons to Philly International, right? And that's when I really found out that like Epic and all of them, that they was kind of like working. I mean, because Joe Jackson, he called me up and said, "We want to be with you, Kenny. We want to," but we didn't have a TV show to give them. We didn't have all of these things to give them because we were being distributed through Columbia and Epic. And so Ronald Luxemburg, who was a good supporter of ours, we figured it out. So you notice on the first couple of releases with the Jacksons, that was, you would see the Philly International logo and you see the Epic logo on both of them. So it was a partnership that we did on the Jacksons. A lot of people don't even realize it, but if you go back to get one of those albums, you'll see that you got Philly International and Epic as all right. And so I think working along with the Jacksons was a real blessing because they were going through an interesting time because Jermaine was not. This is the first time they recorded without Jermaine.
Okay.
This is when they became the Jacksons. Anything previously, they were the Jackson 5. So now the Jacksons appear, and Jermaine, I think he married Berry Gordy's daughter, and it was some kind of thing going on in the whole group. And Michael was just maturing. He was a young man when we started working with him, you know, and his voice was changing, you know, because he was just a teenager. His voice was changing and whatever. And I think that when you listen to those albums, they're different from all the other albums that he's done. And Michael, he had, I mean, we would stay up late at night listening to that music because a lot of those songs, if you listen to those albums, a lot of those songs were kind of like, I think we influenced him as a producer because he was so talented. This man was very, very talented. He had never been given the opportunity to produce or write his own songs. So he used to be in the studio late at night. So I used to go around to the studio and work with him. And there's some songs in those albums that he wrote himself or co-wrote with other people. And that was the way he expressed himself as a songwriter. One of the songs was called "You Can't Take My Blues Away." Blues Away, I think was the name of it. And I can't think of the other one. It was two of them. And so I enjoyed working with Michael. Michael was a unique kind of individual. And of course, when he worked with Quincy Jones, I think that was a combination that was unbelievable. Quincy Jones and the other guy who wrote those songs. I can't think of his name.
Rod Temperton.
Yeah, Rod Temperton. There you go. This guy was, I mean, that you're talking about a great team. The teamwork is great, you know, and so I look at that teamwork with Rod Temperton and Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones brought the experience. He brought the arrangements that when you start listening to that music, you look at how deep that sound of that music was because of Quincy Jones. You see, and then those grooves. That was Rod Temperton because he was with Heatwave, and Heatwave was a great group. Had some wonderful songs and whatever, but it all turned out to be that's the #1 album in history. You know?
Absolutely. Speaking of groups, I tease my dad all the time. Favorite group of all time.
I know he don't like that.
He laughs at it, but I tell him all the time, me and my brother, it's like nothing's better than going to an OJ show.
Oh yeah. Them guys, the OJs, but they give it everything they got. Eddie Levert is unbelievable, and Walter Williams. I love working with them. Me and Huff, whenever the OJs were coming in to record, it was like a treat for us because we could stretch out and we could do a lot of message songs because that's what we really like doing with the OJs is doing those message songs. And we got better and better doing those kinds of songs as time went on, you know. And Eddie Levert was basically such a great performer, number one, on stage. But if you ever saw him in the studio, he was that same kind of artist in the studio. I mean, he was unbelievable, you know, that he would give so much. And during those days, you didn't have the kind of technology like you got today. If you make a mistake today, you could edit and stuff so quick. Back in those days, you had to do it all the way again from the beginning.
Start over from the beginning, huh?
Man, we'd be there all night long, you know, but it was worth it, man, because it's all on tape, and the proof is in that tape, those tapes, and the great performances that our artists. We had great artists that helped us out so much. When you have great artists, great songs, great engineers, there's a whole team of people that you got to have. You know, you can have a great song and get the wrong engineer, and there you go. Okay, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, all right. You can have a great song and all that, but you got to have engineer. And Joe Tarja was our engineer. He was great. You know, I didn't have to worry about nothing. Huff didn't have to worry about something being distorted or whatever the case might be. The quality of our music is got a lot to do with it. When you listen to those albums and those tapes, and you say, "Wow, listen to the bass, listen to the mid range, listen to the high range, listen to all that stuff, listen to the echo sends and everything." I mean, today they got the artists, they got something on their voice when they sing. I don't know what that is. What do you call that?
Auto-tune.
What do they call it?
Auto-tune.
Oh, yeah. And so you and a lot of them sound the same, you know, and that, you know. A lot of artists, you know, they use that, and you don't really know, you don't know who they are. They all sound the same a little bit. Yeah. But I mean, some of them, you know, but
I mean, they definitely not sounding like Eddie Levert, Teddy Pendergrass, or Patti LaBelle.
Look at Walter Williams, man. Walt is great. Are you kidding? See, Walter Williams with the OJs, Walt was singing the bass. Walt was singing the first tenor. He was singing second tenor, and he also was singing the real high notes. And Walt was singing like 3-4 parts that made that sound. You know, it was unbelievable.
Were y'all intentional about, you know, you spoke on some of the messages that you were able to write about in the music that you did with the OJs. Was that like an intentional thought, or were you just basically conveying what was going on in everyday life? Like how did some of those things come to fruition of just the message of Love Train and, you know, Backstabbers and just some of these songs that have like very distinct message in the music, you know, like some of these songs that came to be?
Well, you know, you hit it right on the head. It became like it kept growing, you know, like today it's even growing. It's beautiful that these songs are still around. I mean, after all of these years, you know, I hear these songs on the radio, we hear them in commercials, we hear them everywhere. And so this thing that we was able to create, which was called A Message in the Music. And I used to write liner notes on all the albums. And that would be the signatures, A Message in the Music. And I would write about the contents of the album, what it meant to me. And in doing so, the albums that we were doing, not all albums, but some of the albums that we had, generally we write something about say for example, like Family Reunion, which is one of my favorites with the OGs. You know, we write something about what that song meant to us, you know, and what it meant for the family to be together. You know, it's not easy. Oh, that's a hard job there, but you got to put forth the effort in some way to keep your families together, you know. And then you look at people that were doing the same thing, like McFadden and Whitehead. Man, listen, look what came out of there. They wrote Wake Up Everybody. It's unbelievable. That Wake Up Everybody to me is equivalent to what's going on. What's going on might have it by maybe an inch or maybe a quarter of an inch, but that Wake Up Everybody will be around forever. That song.
Absolutely.
You know, because it's a constant reminder. You understand? No more sleeping in bed. No more backwards thinking. All of that old crazy stuff that people was thinking in the past, that's over with. You understand? Time for thinking ahead, you know? And so it was great. I mean, just to see McFadden and Whitehead develop the way they developed, you know? And then when I speak of McFadden and Whitehead, they were so talented. So talented. It was unbelievable. Huff and Gene McFadden and John Whitehead. I walk in the office one day and they're in there on the piano and they're working on Backstabbers, man. You can't get better than that. You can't get it no better than that, man. And so, you know, it's a great thing, and it's a great story, this whole thing. And I'm proud. I'm proud to have lived it, you know, and live it with dignity. And,
That's gotta be magical. I mean, a lot of people haven't been to the building, but you know, I spent a lot of time in Philly International. You know, you walk in there and it's all of these rooms with the carpet going up the side of the walls, and you know, you got the main studios right there. I mean, just to have all these legendary people in different rooms writing all of these songs had to be inspiring every time you just peeked your head in a different room to see, you know, Linda Creed in one room, Tom Bell and McFadden and Whitehead and yourself. That just had to be like so inspiring of a time just to be mixed.
And then you had people, hey Brian, you had people like Bonnie Sigler, who was a giant, man. This guy was unbelievable. God bless him. But the thing of it is that we were a product of Motown. And there were other places all around. All it takes is one place to start it. Give an example. Motown gave the example of how you could do it, you know. And it takes a sacrifice too. The sacrifice in it is worth it, you know. Now that you've done it already, but going through that process, it's not easy. It's not easy at all because the music sort of captivates you. You know, and the music is in control. Absolutely, it's in control, and you kind of try to squeeze all the good juice out of life with music, and you gotta get the most out of it. You know, because you want to give it your all. You want to give it your all because you're watching everything that happens with the music, and you're putting it towards music. You know, it's like when you speak about the OJs. They used to tell me, they said, hey, Walt and Eddie said, man, we don't want to do no more message music. You know what I mean? I said, well, why not? Why don't you want to do no more message music? He said, because we got to live up to it. We got to live up to it. You know? They were funny, man. But I loved them, you know, because they were probably the best messengers we had with those songs. And probably the signature song with those guys is Love Train. Love Train was exactly what we were talking about. That's what we were trying to represent, how people could love one another. Oh, human family can love one another. And that's what that Love Train represents, you know. That's my opinion anyway, you know.
Absolutely. So, you know, this is the last day of Black Music Month, and you were an essential person and one of the co-founders of it. When you were working on that and y'all were putting that together, what was the message you were trying to put out there, and what did you see missing to form what today is now in the month we celebrate called Black Music Month?
Well, Black Music Month is really, it really has it matured itself. I mean, everywhere is getting involved with Black Music Month now because myself, Leon Huff, Ed Wright, Deanna Williams, and so Sheila, all of us. It was a group of us that worked on trying to get June as Black Music Month. And reason being is that country music is October. October was Country Music Month. And so Black Music Month was nothing different than what country music was. So we wanted a month to market because it was a marketing promotion concept. And our theme with the Black Music Association is that Black music is green. In other words, we're talking about, it's about how do you sell more records? How do you take catalogs and promote those catalogs? How do you concentrate and get the whole industry? And you get the media and you get all of these different things to promote, which they're doing now, which is really good. I see it happening, and it's going to get better because I've seen this, especially this year was probably the best year that I've seen it. That it's that the Black Music Month and what's the other thing, Cleve, that we did? Juneteenth, all this stuff here kind of like meshed in together. Which is something we've been working on also too for a long time, and I see all of this stuff starting to mature because it's starting to tell the story of a people whose story needs to be told, and so it's all good for business, it's good for education. It's good for the culture, and so we're working hard trying to develop all of these things so that the story that we're trying to tell through our music that it's done correctly and it's given the place in history that it needs because you got so many artists and so many people, like jazz and rhythm and blues and all of these things. They need to have the credit also for what they've done. So the Black Music Association was something that we wore another hat. Let me put it like that, because we met the Record Industry Association of America, overseas, everywhere, to try and get the record companies and marketing people to have a Black music division, just like they have a country music division and they have a jazz division and whatever, so you can concentrate on rhythm and blues, rap music, all of this stuff here. It needs to be concentrated on, and so I think it's a good thing. I think it's a great thing, and what happened is that Sheila Eldridge and Deanna Williams, and Deanna in particular, she kept working on it, and went and got the United States Congress to make it a national holiday. So it was Ed Wright, who was at that particular time, he was the chairman of NATRA, the National Association of TV and Radio Announcers, which was all the disc jockeys in the country, and we had a great team together. I can't talk about that any other way. That you got to have a team, you see, because I know pretty much what I'm pretty good at doing, what I'm better at doing it if you got a good team around us. Just like me and Huff, we make a good team. Huff and Tommy Bell, we make a great team. And that's the only way I see that you can do big things and you can get things done. So
I mean, I think that's a great message that you always, every time I've ever heard you speak, you always speak about team, and just with our whole company, on and tuned in here, Like that's probably one of the most powerful things that you say now and you always say of just that teamwork. I played basketball growing up, so I
Oh,
grew up, in this in the team sport. So, that always rang true to me. But every time I hear you speak, you always are appreciative of someone giving you the accolades and your flowers, but you're just as quick to highlight the other great people that you worked with and everyone that helped contribute to what we know as the Philadelphia Sound and Philly International. So I always recognize that every time you speak.
Sound of Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
Beautiful thing. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's been really good. It's been the highlight of my life, and it's not very often that you want to do something and it gets done.
Hmm.
And you can have a lot of dreams in life, but when your dreams come true, it's a blessing. And this was a dream come true because as a little boy, I always used to tell my mother, I said, you know what? I said, I'm gonna have a band one day like Glenn Miller. They used to laugh at me. My brothers used to fall out laughing. I said, man, you ain't gonna do nothing, man. Get out of here. I have a band like Glenn Miller. That was MFSB to me, you see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so anybody that listens to MFSB and listens to that music, they say, boy, these people were great. Bobby Martin was another great one. He was an arranger. Zach Zachary, these people, Don, all different nationalities of people.
Hmm.
Mother, father, sister, brother. Now, somebody thought it would meant something else. I knew how people's minds were. MFSB, they thought it was a curse word, but it wasn't. You know, so, it was a pleasure working with all those, and I just encourage people to be open, to music because music brings people together. It really does bring people together. So
I couldn't agree more. We're in interesting times right now, and before I would say a lot of the issues that have been going on for a while came to the just absolute forefront. In recent times, you were already miles ahead of everyone just with the work you've been doing in the city of Philadelphia. Um, can you tell us just a little bit about just the motivation behind things that you started doing a long time ago and continue to do today, and just that being your passion now?
yeah, well, we had a program years ago. I think it was 1970, 77 or somewhere around there called Clean Up the Ghetto.
Hmm.
Let's clean up the ghetto. You might have been down there during that time, Ryan.
I wasn't born. I promise you that.
But anyway, and so Clean Up the Ghetto was a program where we encouraged people to take care of their communities.
Hmm.
And so we recorded a song by the Philly International All Stars. Um, it's in our catalog. It's called "Let's Clean Up the Ghetto," and we had Lou Rawls, we had Teddy Pendergrass, we had all of our artists was a part of this "Let's Clean Up the Ghetto." And what we did here, we really started it out here in Philadelphia, and we had concerts all over the city. We had we had the the group and the city gave us proclamations and stuff like that, and whatever the state gave us proclamation. But what it was is to alert people that you must take care of your own community. You know, not burn your communities down, build your communities up. You see, and so what we were able to do is through music that we were able to communicate with our community on these different issues. And that's why some of our music is geared towards messages, you know. And if you go through that catalog, you'll see some of the songs that mean so much to our community. You know, it's called message music when we put it like that. And so with that Clean Up the Ghetto program, it evolved into a program that we have now called Universal Community Homes. Universal Community Homes developed itself into being in development of affordable housing. And I don't even want to state the number of houses that we've done, but it's well over 1,000 houses that we've done for many of the people in this neighborhood that they were able to get Universal Community Homes to build homes for them. And in addition to that, building homes, we're also involved in education. In the education, we have 7 schools, and we have like 4,000 students in those schools. And we have some wonderful people. And once again, this is all teamwork that we're doing. And we got some beautiful people working with us. It's a struggle, and it's not easy. You understand? So don't think it's going to be easy, because this is hard stuff to do. But what else you going to do with your life? You got to be able to tackle. These are mountains that you got to climb. You understand? So just because it's a tall mountain here, you got to tackle that joke if you're a mountain climber. So what we're looking at is that we can climb these mountains. We can make it. We can make it as a community. We can make it as a people, and you can do it through music, because there ain't nothing better than grooving while you're doing it, you know. And education is the only way out of this situation that we're in as a species, as a people. And so when you start to look at the whole thing, with those students that we have and with the things that we're doing, and we have definitely got obstacles with what we're doing. But we're building homes. We're taking young people and putting them in school. And we want it to be, hey, Cleve, fix this. We want it to be, Ryan, that they, it's cool. We want it to be that they are happy to go to school. That when they wake up in the morning, that you want to rush and go to school instead of saying, man, I don't feel like going to school. No, it can be better than that. You could make school more enjoyable. You know, you can make it a place where they want to stay. Now, we've been fighting all of this time, and we were able to get to build a new school, and we want to build brand new schools. We want these schools to be the best that they can be, so the young scholars that go to these schools, that they will love going to school. And so, that's what we've been doing. So we have a whole division of our company that does nothing but that. Education. In fact, I just spoke to our superintendent the other day, and what we're concentrating on. See, now is a great time, because everything is about Black Lives Matter and whatever. Sure, they matter. Absolutely, Black Lives Matter. But there was a time, and could be, that a lot of people didn't think that, because that kind of attitude and that kind of mindset is something that is taught. That's not something that you're born with, you know. So we look at it that music, you take this music, we had a song with Archie Bell called "What Would the World Be Like Without Music," you know, and that's the truth. It's the music that can make this a smooth ride, you know, so.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, people don't know that. I don't know how you have enough hours in the day to do all this stuff, but you still have the same passion for music. It feels like now that you had back then, which is always inspiring. Every time I sit down and talk to you, you're still like, hey, I'm ready to write. What artists can I meet? You know, plug me with a producer, you know, like, it's just that thing that never leaves your body, I guess.
But no, I mean, I look at it and, you know, you take an example like a guy like Quincy Jones, right? Who's great. He's great, man. This guy here, he's almost 90. You know what I mean? But he loves that music, man. You know, and hey, we wrote a song like that. I love music. You see, every word, every time we say something, we have something like that. That's that's my thing. I say, okay, I had a song like that, you
Hmm.
know. But you have an opportunity to do something. Then why shouldn't you do it? Do it.
Absolutely.
You're gonna help people. You're gonna help people, and you're gonna help yourself. So you might as well go ahead and do it.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, everything that you and everyone has been able to accomplish, y'all set the bar so high. Just, as someone like myself coming from Philadelphia, we would dream about going to Philly International, and then, as I'm growing up and became, super close with, your kids, Khalif, Saladin, and Adia, and Huff
Yeah.
Jr., we were just dying to get down there and get in that studio. So anytime we had a chance, we were just there, just messing around, getting kicked out by Chuck, who's on this call, and Craig ready to kill us. But we were all trying to replicate, that teamwork and just the energy that y'all had going. So I know firmly I wouldn't be here today without just being inspired by all the great things y'all did. So I think it's just good to know that everything y'all did, even in the 70s, 80s, 90s, is still having an impact even today. Because I'm still inspired, every time I get to talk to you. And just share some time with you, because I always learn a new nugget that I could take with me every single time.
Right. Hey, Ryan, and you know the other thing is that we had those doors open. You know, there was a big welcome sign there for everybody. And, we're trying to spread love to people, and it caught on. It really caught on. We go overseas, and man, it's unbelievable what happens to us when we go overseas. You know, and so we were very very fortunate to be able to find one another. But if you're looking for something good, you can find it. You can make it. You can make it. You can make something out of it. And we were the lucky one. We were the lucky one to. It wasn't easy, and it's still not easy. You know, but yeah, it's special, man. It really is special, man. And it is special seeing you. Look at you. You look at you. And walk the halls of Philly International, and you're out there with all these great people at Warner Chapel. I mean, we've been with Chapel for 30 years. It's unbelievable. It's a beautiful thing. It
Absolutely.
really is. And I just think that the way the world is right now is perfect. It's perfect right now to bring in new change, you know. And I think that the people of the future, the young people, have a great opportunity to do something beautiful because it's all one humanity. And once you get to that point, there's nothing, absolutely nothing. Once you understand that there's only one humanity, there's one design for life, then nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop us as a human race. And that day is coming. It's here now. You can see it.
Absolutely.
You can feel it. That's right. It's unbelievable. And so the thing that I say and I try to do is, hey, look, try to stay healthy. Number one, you see, try to stay healthy because there's something going on out here, and you try to stay healthy and try to be happy, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, that sounds like that might be a title to a song. Try to be happy.
Well, look, Mr. Gamble, we don't want to take too much of your time. We definitely thank you for taking this time out your busy schedule to sit and talk with us. On behalf of myself, the entire company, we're honored to represent you and Mr. Huff's music. We do that with pride, and with dignity. We're so thankful to be your partners in the music. And we just want to thank you for taking out, an hour out of your day to talk with us. We would love to do this, more than once a year, but we know you
Yeah.
got going on, but we thank you for taking the time.
Hey, I appreciate it. And Chuck, I know Chuck is there somewhere. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Khalif, for
Please.
helping, make this happen. Thank you, Crystal and Amisha.
All I'm saying, my wife is here to make sure I don't make no mistakes. You know? It's all beautiful, man. It really is, man. And I, you know, one person, I was looking at the screen and you reminded me of Dexter Wansel, who is another great talent. All of these great talents, you know what I mean? So I'm happy to work with you, man. I'm ready to get moving.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.